Oye, pero ¿tiene mi lente ahora?
Okay, so I'm recording and I'm sharing my screen. Okay. Okay, everyone, can you see my screen?
Yes,
okay.
We can see.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's event, Fast Track Your PMO at Pmo Santiago chapter. I'm Nadine, and I will moderate this event for today. Please switch on your cameras. We'd like to see your smiling faces. The Pmo Chile chapter team did a terrific job, and of course, thanks to all of you for coming to Saturday's morning event. I promise it will be valuable and joyful for you. At the end of this session, you will have the chance to win great prizes. So cheer up and stay tuned. Now we are start to dive into the great journey, the world of Pmo and its opportunities. And first of all, warm welcome to Jorge Ibanez, Vice President of Members Pmo Santiago chapter. Applaud. Susana Chico, Head of Loyalty, and Jonathan Polgatiz, Head of BI. The floor is yours. Please welcome.
Thank you, Nadine. Hello, everyone. This part is going to be in Spanish, okay? Could you please, can I share?
Yes, you can share, please.
Perfect. Bueno. Buenos días a todos. Un gusto tenerlos acá en este evento en conjunto del PMI Santiago Chile y del Pmo Global Institute. Hemos trabajado estas últimas 2 semanas en organizar este evento para todos ustedes, los miembros del capítulo Santiago. ¿Hay alguna persona con un ruido ambiente? Y si puede, por favor, silenciar su micrófono. Muchas gracias. Vamos a repasar un poquito qué es lo que ha sido el capítulo, qué es lo que hemos venido haciendo, ¿ya? Queremos tomarnos unos minutitos en eso, así que les vamos a presentar eso para partir, ¿ya? Este es nuestro capítulo, tenemos 900 miembros al día de hoy, casi 1000, en algún momento hemos llegado a los 1000, ¿cierto? Tenemos comunidades en Valparaíso, Concepción y el capítulo Santiago, el capítulo Antofagasta también, con el cual hemos compartido algunos eventos, ¿ya? Muy interesantes sobre minería, sobre todo, ¿ya? Y, ¿por qué estamos acá? Básicamente porque el PMI representa una asociación líder a nivel mundial, ¿cierto? Que nos permite avanzar en nuestras carreras, mejorar el éxito donde estamos insertos en nuestras organizaciones y empezar a madurar la profesión de gestión de proyectos, ¿ya? Por favor, el micrófono silenciado, gracias, muchas gracias. Y ustedes saben que hoy día el PMI ha cambiado, ¿cierto?, un poquito su imagen y tiene estos símbolos, ¿ya? Colaboración, que es justamente lo que estamos buscando hoy día con el Pmo Global Institute, para saber un poquito más sobre su propuesta. Determinación, cambios, innovación, trabajo en equipo, ¿cierto? Outcomes o resultados, crecimiento, visión y comunidad, ¿ya? Todo eso hoy día lo van a ver reflejado un poquito en esta charla, ¿ya? Esta es una slide muy importante para nosotros, porque viene a reflejar lo que quiere el CEO y la dirección, digamos, del PMI a nivel mundial, y tiene 3 focos, ¿ya? La regionalización, la diversificación de productos, ¿ya? Y alcanzar nuevas comunidades, changemakers, ¿cierto? Y hacer una comunidad mucho más grande, mucho más participativa, y por eso es que justamente contamos hoy día con el Pmo Global Institute como presentando este evento, ¿ya? ¿Y por qué? Básicamente porque queremos pasar desde la comunidad global, bajar a terreno, ¿cierto? Esas directrices a una red local, ¿ya? para ir justamente avanzando desde que uno comienza la carrera, va construyendo la carrera, hasta llegar a un nivel más directivo en alguna organización, ¿ya? Este es el mapa de madurez que uno debiese tener en mente cuando trabaja o cuando está participando, digamos, en una carrera de gestión de proyectos, ¿ya? Voy a ir actualizando esto ahí. Entonces, si se fijan, el PMI hoy no solo es el PMBOK, sino que es incluso una fundación educacional que empieza a compartir conocimientos desde los niños, ¿ya? Víctor, y por favor, si puedes, por favor, silenciar tu micrófono, muchas gracias. Y empieza con estas certificaciones desde muy jóvenes, ¿ya? Hay certificaciones que empiezan como el Cbpmo, ¿cierto? Desde muy joven, pasando por el PMP y hoy día con agilidad también, disciplina Agile, ¿ya? Hasta llegar al Brightline, que es todo el tema de estrategia, ¿ya? Hasta convertirse en un mentor, ¿ya? Cuando uno está con bastante experiencia en el cuerpo, ¿ya? Es un poquito el camino que uno debiese seguir, justamente, y por supuesto abrazamos también otras buenas prácticas como la que hoy día nos van a presentar los amigos del Pmo Global Institute. Esta te la dejo a ti, Susana. Les voy a presentar a Susana, si no la conocen, la mayoría yo creo que ya la conoce. Ella es nuestra directora de fidelización en nuestra IP, en nuestro capítulo. Así que paso a Susana esta slide. Dale, Susana.
Gracias, Jorge. Bueno, buenos días a todos. Aquí, bueno, yo les quiero contar un poquitito que son el PMI a nivel global nos ofrece un montón de estándares que nos ayudan a generar esta gestión de carrera que nos acaba de mostrar Jorge. Y recordarles que todos estos estándares como el PMBOK, la gestión de riesgo, la gestión ágil, todas están gratis para aquellos que son miembros del PMI Org, y las pueden encontrar algunas en versiones en español también. Dentro además de poder acceder a todas estos estándares, a esta biblioteca, hay un montón de otra biblioteca que se puede acceder y que está disponible en la página y que nos llevan y nos ayudan a generar y conseguir estas certificaciones que son las que se presentan aquí, como la más conocida, que es la PMP, ¿cierto? La CAMP, que es de las prácticas ágiles, ahora la de portafolio, la de riesgo. Todas estas, un poquito más atrás, Jorge, por favor. Todas estas certificaciones y esta orientación de los distintos estándares están acompañados y sustentados en el triángulo del talento, que actualmente está evolucionando y está llevándonos este triángulo del talento a las maneras de trabajar, a las habilidades de trabajo y a la perspicacia o la orientación del negocio, porque acordémonos que en el PMO 7, la versión 7, está como muy presente el tema de agregar valor al negocio. Entonces se destaca mucho más este tema de tener perspicacia en orientación al negocio. Ahora sí vamos a lo que es cómo está compuesto el Santiago Chapter Chile, el capítulo de Santiago. Bueno, primero está compuesto por todos los miembros y voluntarios, porque sin miembros y sin voluntarios nosotros no tendríamos razón de existir. Obviamente tenemos un presidente que es el que nos dirige, nos orienta, nos pone en casilla, y tenemos las distintas VPs para poder lograr todo lo que hemos logrado hasta ahora. Por ejemplo, la VP de comunicaciones, que tiene que ver con todo lo que es la comunicación desde y hacia a los miembros, todo lo que es los temas de publicidad. El tema de finanzas, que obviamente tiene que ver todo con los temas de contabilidad, balances, auditorías de nuestra BP, y los ingresos que podemos conseguir, ¿cierto? Si bien somos una organización sin fines de lucro, tenemos que sustentarnos igualmente. La BP de programas especiales, que gestiona y administra todos los proyectos especiales, lo que habían sido hasta los años anteriores, lo que son ay, se me olvidó el nombre, Turcono Sur. el Turcono Sur y otros eventos que son un poquito más grandes. El ABP de programa que gestiona y administra los diferentes convenios, los auspicios y convenios con distintas empresas para poder seguir adelante con todo esto. Y la ABP de educación y certificación que tiene dos grandes focos. Primero, todo lo que es los conocimientos hacia la profesión, digamos, de gestión, dirección y gerencia de proyectos, y todo lo que tiene que ver con certificaciones. Y por último, la vicepresidencia de membresía y fidelización, ¿cierto? Que tenemos que ver cómo nos relacionamos, cómo mantenemos la fidelidad con los miembros y con los voluntarios para que esto siga funcionando. Y para llegar un poquitito más dentro de lo que es la vicepresidencia de membresía, somos todos voluntarios los que trabajamos en esta vicepresidencia. Tenemos un tema de fidelización, para poder potenciar la oferta de valor que entregamos a los miembros. Tenemos una dirección de membresía que está directamente relacionada con cada uno de los miembros. Tenemos una dirección de los voluntarios que trabaja también con cada uno de los voluntarios para poder llegar y tener este tipo de eventos, por ejemplo. Y tenemos, bueno, el vicepresidente que nos articula como VP, y tenemos otro director que es de BI, que nos procesa la información importante, y él es, en este caso, Jonathan Polgatiz, que nos va a mostrar los números de nuestro capítulo, que es a continuación. Ah, no, mentira, me quedó una slide que en un poco es para saber qué es lo que hacemos. Tenemos distintas actividades, tenemos actividades semestrales, actividades mensuales, como son las escuelas de proyecto, pero nuestro tema es comprometer a los voluntarios. Tenemos que atraer nuevos miembros para poder seguir creciendo. Damos la bienvenida a nuestros nuevos miembros 2 veces al año. Tenemos las escuelas de dirección de proyectos los sábados, son en nuestro espacio, generar un ciclo de comunicación con los miembros y con los voluntarios. Así también tenemos encuentros que no necesariamente son de índole educativo o como escuela de proyectos, sino que también tenemos otras instancias de encontrarnos para ir generando comunidad. Y sí tenemos plataformas para procesar reportes de miembros, certificados, encuestas, y ahí ahora sí les dejo con Jonathan, que nos da un poquitito más de números.
Hola, buenos días a todos, ¿cómo están? Tenemos una gran convocatoria. What amazing presentation we have today, pero primero quiero contarles cómo estamos hoy día en nuestros números, ¿cierto? Como comentó Susana, ¿cierto? Nosotros somos la VP de membresía, hemos preparado este evento con mucho cariño para ustedes, pero queremos darle un ápice primero de lo que nosotros tenemos hoy día como voluntarios y miembros en el capítulo. Como pueden ver en el slide, hoy día somos 939 miembros del capítulo, los cuales están divididos en 735 caballeros y 204 mujeres, ¿ya? Pero esta es una pregunta que siempre nos aparece en los eventos que nosotros hacemos. ¿Están todos certificados? No, la verdad que de los 939 personas que tenemos hoy día, no todas están certificadas. Solo 470 de ellos están certificados, que más o menos, algo así, es como el 80% perdón, es como 40% del gran parque de miembros que tenemos. El 80% de las certificaciones, ¿cuál creen que puede ser? Es la PMP. La PMP hoy día es nuestra certificación por default. O sea, todos quieren certificarse PMP, y de hecho, como vemos en el grafiquito que está ahí en la pantalla, hoy día tenemos 415 personas que son certificadas PMP. Imagínate, es un gran número, es casi el 80% de las certificaciones, ¿vale? Y así en adelante. Después viene la CAPM, ACP, etcétera, etcétera, ¿ya? Pero hoy día la gran mayoría de los miembros, ¿cierto?, del capítulo son PMP. Es un dato curioso que tenemos ahí. Bien, pero la pregunta que todos se hacen, ¿y por qué me hago miembro del capítulo? Hay una encuesta que se hace anualmente, ¿cierto? El PMI hace una encuesta global, y hay 3 principales razones por las cuales las personas se hacen miembros. En la tablita de abajo aparece, se ve. Les voy a leer solo las 3 primeras para en honor al tiempo, que dice, para aprovechar al máximo todos los beneficios de la membresía. Los beneficios que ya nos contó Susana, ¿cierto? Tenemos libros gratis, tenemos videos on demand, un sinfín de beneficios. La segunda es para conectar y trabajar en red con personas del PMI a nivel local. Hoy día el networking es súper importante a nivel local y también global. Hoy día se da un poco más al nivel global. De hecho, hoy día tenemos una presentación que no es local, ¿cierto? Traemos unas personas de afuera para que nos comenten también la visión de otro lado. Y la tercera, obtener más información sobre la gestión de proyectos en general. Y así en adelante. Hay otras 10 que están ahí, se les vamos a compartir la PPT para que ustedes las vean, ¿cierto? Y puedan darle una vuelta. Las edades, ¿qué edades más o menos se unen al PMI? Está más o menos entre... me marea, Jorge, con tu mouse. Tranquilo.
Acá está la edad, acá está la edad. Y acá están los años en que
Sí, voy a las edades primero. Más o menos las edades están entre los 24 años o menos. Eso representa más o menos un 1% de las personas que están dentro del PMI. De 25 a 35 es 21%, 35 que es la media, 36 años a 45 más o menos está el gran global de los miembros, ¿cierto? Y de esa media, ¿cierto? Los años en gestión de proyectos, que es importante. ¿Cuál es tu experiencia? Que es la laminita de arriba. Más o menos entre 11 a 15 años es la media, ¿ya? Entonces, como pueden ver, está súper bien distribuido la edad, ¿cierto? Dentro de los miembros, y también se distribuye bastante bien la experiencia de proyecto dentro de tu journey laboral, ¿cierto? La pregunta súper al hueso, como decimos acá en Chile, ¿qué tan importante es para ti el capítulo? ¿Qué tan importante es? Más del 32% dice que es sumamente importante. Después un 33% dicen que es importante. Y moderadamente importante solo un 22%. Ese gran global, ¿cierto? Se enmarca en una calificación súper positiva y te entrega, ¿cierto? Una radiografía súper certera, ¿cierto? Del viaje que están haciendo las personas dentro de los capítulos. Con eso termino mi pequeña introducción.
Perfecto. Okay, we can...
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jorge, Susana, Jonathan. That was a great and promising start. Keep it going. And now let's pass the floor over to the CEO of Pmo Global Institute Incorporation, Abdulla Al-Mamun. Abdulla will give to us the keynote speech. Please welcome Abdulla. The floor is yours.
Hi, team. Very good morning, Santiago. How are you doing? Can you hear me loud?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, it's great.
Yes,
thank you.
Fantastic. Everyone says doing fantastic. Right. So, can you guys come on video, please? Let's see. How you enjoying your morning. Everyone, come on video, please. Yes. Yes, I can see. More to come. Everyone on the video, please. Yeah, I'm going to ask some questions. More to come. We are going to take a picture, the best picture of 2022, and that we're going to share on social media. So you have to have a good look. So come on video, everyone. Yeah, so more to come, everyone on page 2. I yet to see you. Come on video. Yeah, Corrine, are you going to take the picture of the year? Yes, so ready, everyone say 1, 2, 3, victory.
Victory.
Happy Saturday morning. Enjoy. Corinne, you have taken the pictures, right? Yeah, fantastic.
I have.
All the pages. I mean, we have almost like 3 pages, so take all the pictures of all the 3 pages. Thank you very much. And really glad to be here today. Really honored. To be here today, and thank you, George, for giving a nice overview of the PMI Santiago chapter as well as the global vision of PMI. Thank you, Susana, and as well as the Jonathan. Brilliant, big claps for all of you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so it's a Saturday morning and I see almost like 64 participants, right? So it's a good start. It's a good start. That means how much eager we are to learn PMO. Yeah, to learn PMO. Okay, so you see, you know, PMI has done a fantastic job creating a lot of good project managers. Yeah, so we have any guess how many PMP certified professionals we have around the world? Anyone? The number? Total number of PMP certified professionals till now. Any guess? Almost 1.2 million. 1.2 million. Yeah, it's a huge number. It's a huge number, right? But once somebody actually become a project manager managing very good projects and they're going up to the ladder, what's next? What's next? The next is they're probably working in a project management office environment, right? And globally, if you see the statistics around, the statistics is about mid-size and large-size organization, about 71% organizations around the world, they have some kind of PMO. That means probably they have a project management office or program management office or portfolio management office. They have some kind of PMOs. But you know, fortunately, unfortunately, many of the PMOs are failing. Almost like around 80 to, you know, different statistics says around 80 to 90% PMOs get shut down within 3 years. Can you believe it? 80 to 90% PMOs get shut down within 3 years. Then what's the problem is there? If a PMOs get shut down, that means it's a big loss of the company. You know, people are losing employments and top management is losing confidence, right? Top management is giving you a lot of investments to set up your PMO, hiring people, managing, you know, better projects, and they're losing confidence. And at the end of the day, the overall objective, which is better project management, the objective is not filled up, right? And we have done a significant research in last couple of years among, you know, thousands of, you know, professionals around the world. And we figured out there are big space, there are a couple of big challenges we have in project management space. Number one is there is no structured guidebook for PMO. That, no, like PMI, we have this 49 process chart, right? We know where to start a PMO, you know, where to manage the PMO, where to end the PMO, how to hand over and stuff. For PMO, there is no good PMO guidebook, right? Which actually reflects the real practice of the project management office. That's why we have built this PMO guidebook. All right, so it took us quite a long time. It's almost like 450 pages guidebook. And you can see literally, you can literally connect, right? How to start a PMO. Even, you know, typically you'll be surprised. Typically we say that when we start a project, we start with a project charter, right? Yeah, the first thing in the process, project charter we start. We sign the agreements with the sponsor, we start. And we'll be, you know, happy to know that when we do the PMO setup and there is a PMO charter, so there is a PMO charter needs to be signed. And to be very frank, we signed the PMO chapter after a lot of activities. Like initially we do the, you know, the business objective, we capture the business objective. Then we do basically, you know, the health checkup. Then we see the readiness check. Then we develop the roadmap. Then we go for, the PMO charter sign up. So that means there's a, lot of PMOs are there, but structured way of managing a projects and PM project management office, there is a gap. So we are trying to actually help the global audience, how they can improve the project management office experience, right? How they can, better manage the project management experience, office. So that's why, through this guidebook, you can manage projects, programs, even to some extent, portfolio management. And the detail of the discussions will be covered by our, respected speaker today, Kim. Kim is actually, a program management officer in her company, and also one of the trainer from Pmo Global Institutes, as well as the partner in, so she has huge years of experience, and she will cover you how you can actually easily follow this framework and easily manage your PMO setup, right? And also, I always say this, when you see when you see, right, it's if it is a department, like project management office is your department, kind of department. I call this department as a country. So if you say, if it is a country, new country, you need the constitutions, right? If it is a company, you need a new constitutions, how your company, how your department should run, right? Similar way, a company, a project has a life cycle. It has a start, it has an ending. A PMO also has a life cycle, right? Life cycle means, we call it, when you start a PMO, start as an infant. Okay, we call it actually the initiation stage. A PMO start as an infant, then it moves to the next level. There are 5 levels of a PMO, by the way. These questions may come in your today's quiz, right? So we'll be having a quiz today at the end of the session, and there will be 5 winners who will be actually winning this membership of PMO Global Institute. Okay, paid membership, and the winners will get a soft copy of this PMO guidebook. All right, so it's a annual membership is like $89. So the top 5 winners today will get this PMO guidebook soft copy. So all the topics we're discussing, the areas we're discussing, you may consider taking a note so that you can win today, right? All right, good. So I was talking about the 5 level of maturity of a PMO. So start with infant stage, then it moves to the level 2 stage. We call it the kind of like childhood stage. Then from childhood, it goes and grows as an adult, okay? Which means your processes are kind of defined, all right? Then, it moves, become a, regional leaders. Then it becomes, a respected leader. That means the more matured stage. The matured stage, basically, we call it the optimized stage, So level 1 is initiation, developing, define, manage, and optimize. These 5 layers, right? And one quiz for all of you. As I mentioned, about 71%, in different organizations, in mid-size and large size, around 71%, organizations, they have some kind of project management office. Any idea what is the percentage of the PMOs they belong to level 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5? Any guess? Any wild guess? In terms of maturity model, as I said, maturity model level 1 is initiation, then basically developing, right? Then basically defined, then manage, then optimize, right? Any guess? The questions to all of you. What is the percentage of PMOs belongs to any of the levels? Any idea? Maybe level 1. What is the percentage of PMOs maturity level belongs to level 1, which is infant stage at this moment? 25%. Eric said 25%. Good. What do you think?
Natalia says 50. Alexa.
50. Very good. 15%. Onunes said. Yeah. What else? Sarah said 33%. Good. Anything else? Anyone? All right. So developing 40%, initiation 40%. George says you said 10%, right? Good. You will be surprised to know about 88% global PMOs still belongs to infant stage. 88%, my friend. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Too much.
Yeah, that means it's a challenge. At the same time, it's an opportunity. It's a big opportunity to solve these problems, right? So that's why we have these authorized instructor programs. And if you look around, how many authorized, experienced PMO instructors you have? How many experienced certified, PMO professionals you have? There's a huge opportunity. So my request would be, go through these today's sessions, log into our, associate membership. It's free. Corrine will give you the login information of the associate membership. And after that, go download this, framework, study on it. And anytime you need any help, we are there to actually help you in PMO space. All right. Thank you once again inviting us today. and the exciting parts still, to come. And I now leave it to back to Nadin. Please take over. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, Abdulla. What an inspired speech. Now everyone is motivated to upgrade themselves from the stage 1 infant to the stage 5, right? Okay, let me continue and share my screen. I will roll through some slides and tell about the Pmo Global Institute introduction, our today's learning objective, and benefits that each of you can definitely get. So, learning objectives. You will learn how Pmo setup works, learn tools and techniques to apply Cbpmo framework, increase your visibility and become recognized within your organization and peer circle, make use of the best practices in Pmo and increase the success rate of your projects, and earn 2 PDUs contact hours. Great. What about benefits? Everyone, all participants will get free Cbpmo framework, get access to the largest Pmo community. And at the end of the main session, we will have a quiz where 5 winners will get full-year Pmo Global Institute membership, which costs $89 per year. And also 10% discount on Pmo Global Institute Pmo Certification program. Quiz will be at the end of the main session. You will get the digital and soft guidebook, Pmo guidebook. What about Pmo Global Institute? A short intro. It's the global body for Pmo certifications, representing global project management offices, including project, program, and portfolio managers involved in defining, establishing, and running high-performing project management offices in and across industry sectors. The objective of Pmo Global Institute is to make Pmo learning available to project professionals across the globe through certifications, events, networking, and hands-on knowledge sharing. We have members in 100+ countries. We have 50+ partners, and 46% of Pmo directors said that their organization doesn't understand the value of project management. 68% of stakeholders perceive the Pmo as bureaucratic. Pmo Global Institute has already had such events with PMI chapters in 5 countries, such as Kazakhstan, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Southeastern England, and Cameroon. So, and now we are going to hand over to Kimberley. And no, sorry. Sorry for this. Now time has come to pass the floor to the Jorge, Vice President of Membership, to tell us about challenges of Pmo in Chile. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Nadine. Can I share again?
Yes, you can share.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. Bueno, aquí retomamos el español. Estas son, ¿se ve ahí o no? ¿Se está viendo? Can you see?
Yes.
Sí, Jorge.
Sí se ve.
Ya, siempre hemos visto que los proyectos, ¿cierto?, empujan o sustentan a la estrategia y a la visión y a las metas de una empresa, ¿cierto?, con un portafolio que debiese tener como meta ejecutar los programas y proyectos correctos, ¿cierto? Y por otra parte, ejecutar programas y proyectos correctamente, ¿ya? Sin embargo, hemos notado en varios estudios, ¿cierto?, que hay una diferencia entre la estrategia que uno plantea en la empresa, ¿cierto?, que nos plantean los directivos de la empresa, versus la ejecución, que típicamente no alcanza a cubrir y hay un gap ahí, ¿ya? Y claro, como decía Nadine, estas son las principales fallas que encontramos en las PMO. ¿Por qué el 75%? Imagínense, un número muy alto. Y este es un estudio justamente del PMI que dice porque no hay un valor percibido, básicamente, o es muy bajo el valor que se percibe dentro de la organización, ¿cierto? Falta de un sponsorship, ¿ya? De que los gerentes, digamos, y las personas que están en la dirección de la empresa efectivamente tengan un sponsorship hacia la PMO, ¿ya? Una tercera causa de esta falla podría ser la inexperiencia de la PMO, ¿ya? No hay PMO certificado, ¿cierto? No conocen un estándar, digamos, no son a lo mejor certificados ni PMP, ni alguna otra certificación que les preste, digamos, una estructura para ir avanzando en su PMO, ¿ya? Tampoco tienen una estrategia, una visión estratégica, o no está alineada a la organización, ¿ya? Y están muy ocupadas para ser estratégicamente alineadas a la organización. Tal vez están muy operativizadas las PMO, no están como pensando desde arriba, ¿ya? Otra cosa que puede pasar es que el sponsor o el
Jorge,
negocio no se dé
perdón,
cuenta.
Jorge,
¿Sí?
perdón,
¿Sí?
Jorge, no estás compartiendo. Se
Ah,
perdió
no
la...
compartiendo.
Sí,
Ah, sorry, voy de nuevo. Share. Ahí sí. Ahí sí. Gracias, Jonathan,
ahí sí.
por avisarme. Ya. Entonces, otra cosa que les decía, ¿cierto? Que los sponsors a lo mejor no se dan cuenta de los beneficios o valores de la PMO, ¿ya? Los PMO, y esto me ha tocado verlo de cerca, ¿ya? En distintas organizaciones, seguramente las personas que están en alguna PMO los ven a uno, ¿cierto?, como un policía, ¿cierto?, como un policía del proyecto que se fija en algunos indicadores, ¿cierto?, que está ahí tratando de que los jefes de proyecto cumplan con alcance, con tiempo, con costo, ¿ya? En vez de ser vistos como un partner estratégico para alcanzar justamente esta visión y misión estratégica y llevarla a la ejecución, ¿ya? Otra falla puede ser también en este tema de la PMO es que tenemos una baja tasa, ¿cierto?, de éxito en los proyectos, ¿ya? Entonces se va perdiendo el que la PMO efectivamente sea bien vista, ¿ya? Justamente porque hay procesos que no hacen un buen match, que no están bien armados, ¿cierto? Malas herramientas, a lo mejor demasiada documentación, ¿ya? Y también PMOs héroes, ¿ya? Que tal vez algunos PMO hacen el trabajo bien y un poquito más estructurado, pero otros no lo hacen tan estructuradamente, ¿ya? O no permiten un buen flujo dentro de los proyectos, ¿ya? ¿Cuáles son los beneficios de la PMO por otro lado? Si bien es cierto, hemos visto las causas de las fallas, también, si vemos el vaso más medio lleno, digamos, tenemos estos beneficios que son entregar valor, consistencia, ¿cierto?, y exactitud a una organización, en el sentido de estar viendo cuáles son los indicadores principales de los proyectos, ¿cierto? Decisiones, poder tomar decisiones estratégicas, ¿ya? Facilitar la completitud de los proyectos, ¿ya? El que se finalicen bien. Training, mentoring, coaching, todo lo que tenga que ver con avanzar en la carrera de los jefes de proyecto. Proveer estándares, ¿cierto?, mejores prácticas, ser un repositorio de información. Si un gerente te pregunta, oye, ¿cómo va tal proyecto? Cualquier persona que trabaje en la PMO debiese ser capaz de responderle, mira, estos son los principales indicadores de ese proyecto que a ti te interesa, ¿cierto? Analizar la importancia de la data dentro de la organización, ¿cierto? Todo lo que ya vimos, ¿cierto? Y finalmente facilitar la comunicación y el flujo de información, ¿ya? Por eso que es importante la Pmo, aun cuando tenemos, ¿cierto?, el vaso medio vacío, como lo vimos anteriormente, y hay que tratar de cerrar esos gaps, ¿ya?, de entendimiento. Aquí, rápidamente, porque esto está también en otra encuesta que hizo el PMI, les voy a pasar rápidamente esta encuesta, ustedes la pueden buscar ahí, se la podemos mandar también a todos los interesados, a todos los que están registrados. El PMI hizo una encuesta justamente y separa básicamente en estos 5 grandes grupos lo que tiene que ver con la Pmo. La Pmo tiene que tener governance, tiene que tener integración y alineamiento con la estrategia, tiene que tener procesos, tiene que tener tecnología y data, y por supuesto las personas que sustentan a la Pmo, ¿ya? Esto lo voy a pasar rápidamente. Solamente para irnos a los gráficos, ellos dijeron, o ellos hicieron un ranking de cuáles son las industrias que mejor están posicionadas en términos de que la Pmo está entregando valor, ¿ya? Y estas Pmo que están entregando valor están sobre todo en el sector tecnológico. Si ustedes ven el paper, también lo encuentran en el sector financiero y construcción, ¿ya? Y fíjense lo que hacen distinto respecto de el resto de las organizaciones. Tiene una representación en la dirección de la empresa, digamos, de la organización, en un 73% versus un 47%. Es decir, las PMO que están haciendo bien el tema y que están entregando valor ya tienen representatividad, digamos, a nivel gerencial, ¿ya? Incluso aquí en Chile yo he visto algunos cargos que son gerente de PMO, subgerente de PMO, ya se está alcanzando ese nivel, digamos, ¿ya? Si seguimos por acá, este es un poquito el ranking que hicieron, y si se fijan, cada uno de los temas tienen 20 puntos, ¿ya? Los que lo están haciendo bien alcanzan casi todos 20 puntos, los que están haciendo en promedio alcanzan la mitad. Fíjense la diferencia, ¿ya? ¿Ok? Esto es lo que están haciendo bien las PMO, los del 10%. Están contribuyendo al governance, ¿cierto? Desarrollando la estrategia. Están haciendo integración y alineamiento, ¿cierto? Con las iniciativas que apoyan esa estrategia. Están adaptando sus procesos, están adaptando también herramientas digitales, ¿ya? Y están, por supuesto, desarrollando sus personas, ¿ya? Esto es un poquito más de comparativa, si se fijan, de nuevo, el C-Suite, es decir, toda la directiva de la organización está representada y entiende el valor de la Pmo, ¿ya? Eso en governance. En integración y alineamiento está soportada nuevas vías de trabajo, ¿ya? Si no te funciona de una forma, trata de hacer la otra, pero no cambies, como dicen por ahí, la estrategia. La estrategia es única y debemos seguirla, y para ello hay distintos caminos, pero si no te funciona uno, trata de seguir el otro, pero no cambies la estrategia, ¿ya? En cuanto a tecnología, hay algunos que ya están incluso investigando inteligencia artificial, ¿ya? Para ir automatizando algunos procesos de la PMO. Y por supuesto en personas, y lo que nos presenta el PMI es este nuevo triángulo del talento que justamente dice, en vez de ser tan técnicos, ¿cierto?, irnos directo a una metodología en particular, podemos empezar a mezclar estas formas de trabajo, ¿ya? Podemos empezar no solamente a fijarnos en el liderazgo, sino que en otras power skills, ¿ya? Y, por supuesto, también tener la estrategia y el conocimiento del negocio, pero también otras habilidades, otros conocimientos que nos hagan potenciar nuestra PMO, ¿vale? Y solamente para cerrar, esta es una encuesta que hizo otra consultora, ¿ya?, que es Deloitte, en el año 2018, y fíjense las prioridades, esta es ya más local, de Chile, ¿ya? La prioridad número 1 es implementar o mejorar las metodologías para la gestión de proyectos y programas, ¿ya? Aquí contestaron, no sé, por alrededor de 3 ¿cierto?, intereses que eran los más importantes, ¿cierto?, para los más de 200 personas que encuestaron, y el 57% respondió que el top one era mejorar las metodologías, ¿ya? En segundo orden, evolucionar la oferta de los servicios de la PMO, ¿ya?, hacia justamente una visión estratégica, ¿ya? Dejar de ser, digamos, el policía de los proyectos a ser un partner de la dirección de la estrategia de los gerentes, ¿cierto?, hacia cumplir esta visión estratégica y ejecutarla. Y finalmente, una capacitación del equipo de proyectos en gestión de proyectos, justamente que todos podamos hablar un mismo idioma y que todos conozcamos cómo debiésemos gestionar una PMO y el portafolio de proyectos. Con eso cierro. Please, Nadine.
Muchas gracias, Jorge. Now we are continue, and we are going to hand over the floor to Kimberley Clinard. But first, I want to make a short introduction about Kimberley. Can you see my screen, right? Mrs. Clinard is a focused, goal-oriented professional with nearly 20 years of experience building and leading project teams and PMOs across multiple industries. She has had critical successes in leading project management and product development teams through maturity and improvement initiatives, and has been sought by leaders in numerous organizations for her expertise in strategic planning and focused initiatives to foster growth and improved profitability. Her diverse experience, coupled with her continuous pursuit of higher education and excellence in her field, have positioned her as a well-esteemed and highly sought resource among her colleagues, past and present. Mrs. Clinard's primary focus is to promote PMO excellence through quality education, continuous improvement, and optimized standardization of tools, processes, and techniques necessary for organizations to reach their full potential. So now I'm passing the floor to Kimberley. Please, this is your turn.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So if you give me one moment and I'll share my screen and I'll get started. I appreciate very much that introduction. Probably overstated, but thank you very much. I'll take it. Okay, if I could share my screen.
Yes, please.
It's not allowing me to.
Nadine?
Yeah, but one moment, Kimberley. Yes, more. Now you can do it, please.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, is everyone able to see?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, so thank you again. I know you've heard it, but thank you again for allowing us some time this morning to speak with you all. And I'm super excited to go through some of this content. And it looks like we've had about 70 people on the call, so it's great participation. So what I really want to talk to you about are two main things. Really, the biggest thing that I want to talk to you about is the framework that you're going to see in the PMO guidebook from PMO Global Institute. But before we get to that, we want to talk a little bit about the PMO approach. And so the PMO approach, you can see on the slide, PMO approach, purpose, measure, and optimize. We'll talk about each of those just a moment. And the purpose is a really, really big one. And that's the foundational, that's the start, right? So your purpose for the PMO, I think you saw in a slide from Jorge earlier, one of the problems with PMOs is a misalignment to organizational goals or organizational strategy, right? And that is a huge miss. And that's one of the primary reasons that when PMOs are viewed as just the police of projects, or they're not viewed as value added, is because the organization as a whole is misaligned. So the purpose of the PMO has to be aligned with the organizational goals, right? Now, with that purpose, once the PMO is established, then the PMO has, should be established with certain processes, procedures, techniques, methodologies, just like your projects are. The PMO has the same. And so as the PMO is established and it has its way of doing business, it should be measuring, right? The only way to get to that highly functioning PMO that we all want to achieve is to measure our progress, measure how well we're executing and how we are doing. So I see in the chat the golf metaphor, thank you. So yes, so measurement, right? If you don't know how you're doing, there's no way that you can improve. So that is a critical component. I'm sorry, was there a comment? Okay. So, you know, the main thing that the PMO is going to do, the PMO is kind of a core. You're kind of a central. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm sorry, I keep hearing some background noise.
Yep.
Give me a thumbs up. Okay. Okay, sorry for that. So aligning your PMO with the goals and then measuring how well you're making progress toward those goals is critical to achieving that optimization that you also saw mentioned earlier. So, you know, identifying your performance gaps, being able to identify the weaknesses in your processes or even in your people. If there's skill sets that, you know, within your organization, within your PMO, where people simply need training, or maybe they don't have the right tools. You can't identify those things successfully without some methodology in place. And so you have to be able to measure. And so one of the ways that we do that is through, any guesses? How do we measure our PMO? KPIs, right? So, and this is a common term across industry. And so we'll kind of go through some KPIs, but your key performance indicators, that's not something that just comes out of thin air. So as you're going through your processes and you're executing your projects, you're delivering your services and your products to your clients and to your organization, as you're measuring those things, it has to be purposeful. And remember purpose, right? Pmo approach, purpose, measure, optimize, purposeful. You have to set something in place that says, hey, okay, I will know that I'm successful in reaching this thing out here that the organization wants to achieve. I know that I'm successful if I meet this criteria or that. So you set KPIs up front, and those KPIs can range across a number of different areas. So it will take just a minute. I think we still have about 70 people on the call. So let's take a minute, and if you would just put it in the chat, you know, list out some common KPIs that that you all use in your organizations. I'm curious to see what everyone has. Jorge, thank you. Yes, projects completed on time. That is a very significant and very common. I think every PMO has that KPI. How many projects are we executing that are actually meeting their schedule? Yes, absolutely. And on budget. Yes, great point, Marco. Budget is another one. Seeing some more. Good, good. Yes, absolutely. And scope, how do we measure scope, right? Outcomes, perfect. All good. Performance, procurement, yes. Projects without incident, yes, absolutely. Your schedule performance index, that's a good one, and a lot of people don't know what that means. You would be surprised. I have worked in a number of PMOs where people do not understand what that actually is. Awesome, you guys are excellent here, yes. All right, so I mean, you guys got it, right? Everything that we're seeing in the chat, all of those are great KPIs. Let's look at some of the common KPIs, right? That, you know, you've already hit on some of them. But some of the most common KPIs, right? The first one there, improving our project completion on time, right? So we want to measure, you know, how often are we hitting our mark and delivering our projects on time? What's our percentage? You know, are we hitting it at 90%, or are we only delivering on time maybe 15% of the time? Well, that's a big problem, right? So, and that's so important because your executive leadership, your management team, they're looking at these schedules and they're mapping out how they think the company is going to perform over time. So that on-time delivery is crucial to being able to predict, which is our next one, right? Improving predictions or our forecasts on how we're doing. Are we on track to complete and within budget, or are we behind schedule? Are we spending too much money, or do we not have enough resources? Maybe we're not over budget, but we're still behind, and we have to catch up. All of those things are indicators as to how well our processes are helping us to achieve those goals, right? Improving our stakeholder satisfaction. Now, our stakeholders, we'll talk about it a little bit in a moment, but our stakeholders are more than just our customers. We also have our executive team. We have stakeholders internal to our PMO and within that throughout the organization. So our stakeholder satisfaction, you know, how happy are our employees internally? That's a big one. A lot of people miss that, but you know, if you don't have a happy team, then often you don't get the support that you need. But certainly your customers are the biggest part of that, and measuring, you know, how happy are they that we've delivered what they expected us to deliver? Did we meet our requirements, and did we do it on time? Prioritizing your projects to improve return on investment. Sometimes we have to do that, right? So as the PMO aligns with the organizational goals and strategy, you have to prioritize which projects are going to really be robust enough to get us there, which ones truly align at 100%. You know, those are your priority projects. There are other projects you may take on, but maybe their alignment isn't quite as strong. So improving your ROI through project prioritization is really important. Faster time to market, that's another thing. So how fast are we able to execute? You know, if we're developing a piece of software, how fast are we doing that and coming out with quality software to provide to the market, to deliver to our clients? Faster time to market, you know, you get there first, and that's, you know, great. Your sales come in, revenue comes in sooner. So that's another big KPI that organizations often focus on. Improving your resource management, improving your process management, making sure that you have a succession planning in place, you know, for the event you have people retire, you have, you know, people leaving for other roles. Improving your processes. You have to measure, again, you have to have that measurement to see how well your processes are helping you get to where you want to go. And making sure your processes are documented is just fundamental to that, number one. But, you know, how do we know that we have the right processes in place? We have to measure those. And then optimizing your finances, right? That's one of the, you know, kind of goes back to what we talked about with the forecast. Optimizing your finances means that you have those prioritized projects in place, that you have the right priorities, that you're meeting your schedules, and that you're able to consistently meet the forecast set in place, that we're bringing in the revenue that the company expects, and that we're also controlling our scope. You know, how well are we controlling our scope such that we're not overspending, right? So those are the most common KPIs that you'll see among PMOs across industry. And there are tons of other KPIs that you can put in place, but most of them are supportive of one of these points, right? So you've already seen Abdulla hold up a hard copy of the PMO guidebook. And so within the guidebook, I was so excited to actually become a part of this organization because of this thing right here. I was looking, as I moved into a PMO lead position, for something that really gave me some kind of a foundation of, you know, how should I be structured within my PMO? And what are the things that, as a PMO lead, what do I really need to put into place to make sure we're successful? And as a project manager, you know, I've got all of that, I've got my PMP, I've got all of that training, and it is wonderful. But PMO versus project, that kind of structure and management is different. The PMO guidebook is based on the framework that we're going to go through over the next couple of slides. So this is the framework that you're going to find there, and it's broken up into 4 different layers. You can't see here, I'll show you in a moment. But just take a quick look at this. It looks a little bit busy, but it really is a wonderful structure that breaks down everything into what I call bite-sized pieces, if you will. It's not exactly the same as the framework that you would use for managing projects. There are some similarities, definitely, but PMOs, again, are not the same as projects, and that PMOs involve so much more, and they're not a project. They don't necessarily have an end, at least we hope they don't, right? So this framework I mentioned is comprised of 4 layers, and the first layer is going to be your foundation layer. And this is sort of the root of the why and how your PMO operates. And so you have this foundation layer at the top. If you look at the very top of the slide here, you'll see foundation layer has your business objectives and your PMO strategy. Those are the key components that get you started, right? and other elements that are part of this foundational layer of the PMO or your health check, these items in the, I guess that's a pink color, health check, your maturity assessment, analyzing and defining your PMO functions, the Pmo Roadmap and the Pmo Charter, all of these things are the foundation of your PMO. They tell you what you're doing, why you're doing it. You know, are you aligned? You know, they're measuring the PMO. Are you aligned with the company and the company's strategic direction? And how well are you structured? Do you have your processes in place? And what is your maturity level? You have to know all of those things so that you can help formulate that roadmap and that Pmo Charter that round out the foundation layer. Your second layer here is the executable layer. And this is basically the what of the PMO. All of these things are more defining of what the PMO is responsible for and evaluating how that PMO is executing. So the section here in the center here that's more orange, this is your executable layer. So developing 2PG, which we'll talk about a little bit later as well, your proof of concept, the KPIs that we just mentioned, understanding your roles and your competencies and your skill sets, evaluating the PMO return on investment, and then on either side, tracking PMO performance and then continuous improvement. That section in the center, I'm sorry, I just clicked and didn't mean to. That section there in the center is your executable layer for the PMO. And then you've got two other layers here. And the third layer in the framework is the supporting layer, all of the things that are required in order to support all of that, those elements of the executable layer. And those are on either side here. So on the left side, you've got in a dark green here, your models and your artifacts, models, methods, and artifacts, your stakeholder management, environment, the PMO technology stack. All of that is part of your supportive layer. And then over on the right side in more of a maroon color, you have your other elements of team structure and succession planning, supporting functions, and your PMO structure and types, and as well as you've got the Agile Pmo there that we're all familiar with, I hope. And so all of these are your supportive elements of the framework. And then finally, that fourth layer is only three little things here, but they're big things, right? You've got your Pmo leadership and executive sponsorship and emotional intelligence. And those are critical, but they are at the bottom for a reason because they hold everything else up. So visually, that's your 4 layers. And you can see here, just for reference for later on, you know, for your foundation layer, your executable supporting, and then your leadership and sponsorship layers. All of these make up your certified baseline PMO framework. Now let's talk just a little bit more in depth about all of these. So back to our foundation layer, the very first thing you have there are your business objectives. Remember, we have to align to that. I'm sorry, Nadine, how am I doing on time? Okay, I see your lips moving, but I don't hear it.
Please, you can finish your speech, no worries.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm not going over or taking anyone else's time. So your business objectives, you know, what is the main purpose of your organization? What does it want to achieve? There's some goal out there or some set of goals out there that your organization wants to achieve. And your PMO also has a vision and a mission. And that mission is to go and get that thing, help your organization and go grab that thing that they want, right? Whatever that goal is or set of goals. That's your business objective, right? The business has objectives, your PMO will align to those. Your PMO strategy is that high-level roadmap that really serves as the guideline that's going to help you achieve that mission, right? And it aligns, again, the strategy is where you align to the organization's strategic plan and strategic goals. And again, this is very high level at this point as part of the foundation layer. Later on, you break that down further. But at this point, that strategy has to be in place. You have to know what that is, right? To have a good, solid foundation for your PMO. Your PMO functions also have to be defined and understood. And so if you don't define and analyze your PMO functions, then that really hurts because nobody knows what the other, you don't know what one another are doing. You have to understand what is it that the PMO is going to contribute to this path to achieving these objectives, and who is going to support that, who's going to do that, and how are we structured such that, do you have a PMO director who's going to lead all of the PMO efforts, or do you have PMs that are simply going to be assigned out to other areas, and how do those PMs function? What's their role? You know, what is their goal? All of this works together to help you define your Pmo roadmap, which is another foundational component of the framework. It doesn't work without it. This roadmap is just a little more detailed and broken down than what your strategy would be. And it basically identifies, you know, here's where our current standing is for the Pmo. And then here's what our expectations are. In light of this current standing, you know, the roadmap is basically how you get from point A to point B. Point B being, here's where we're delivering to the company what we need to deliver so that the organization can achieve its goals. And then finally, your Pmo Charter. You heard Abdulla mention this. We have project charters. Well, PMOs have charters as well, and they should have charters. This is where you get buy-in. This is where you document the justification for the Pmo. Why does the Pmo exist? And it's the basis for everything that happens next as you plan out all of your projects that the Pmo is going to deliver, the services that the Pmo will provide, and how you're going to serve and manage your stakeholders. And ultimately, it identifies what the success of your Pmo really looks like. So this Pmo Charter is kind of the glue, if you will, that ties the Pmo together with the rest of the organization. You heard Abdulla mention earlier, it has to be, your Pmo should be sponsored, much like your projects need to be sponsored. So this Pmo Charter is what communicates to your executive leadership and others throughout the organization, you know, here's my mission in life as the Pmo. And this is their opportunity to come back and say, yes, I agree with it, I support that, or maybe it needs to be modified, you know, but this is that document that pulls it all together and establishes exactly what your role in the organization is as a Pmo. So the executable layer, the execution layer, we'll dive into this one a little bit because it has some really fun elements. The very first thing here that you see is develop 2PG, your policy, procedure, and governance for the Pmo. This is simply the set of policies and procedures that are going to guide the actions of your Pmo and how you're going to execute, how you're going to oversee governance, how you're going to oversee the Pmo activities and progress, and then, you know, how are you going to ensure that things are done consistently. That doesn't happen without having some policies and procedures in place and some governance to ensure that they're continuously active and applicable, because things will change over time. Those policies and procedures, they have to be established first, but then later on, you're also going to continue to look at those, and we'll talk about that at the end of this slide. Your proof of concept. So your proof of concept is something that often isn't done at the very beginning. The proof of concept of your Pmo, this is basically where you're testing your methodology, your plans for how the Pmo is going to do business. And it's a key step because it really gives you the opportunity to identify some short-term objectives that your Pmo can go after, what we call quick wins. And this is going to demonstrate whether or not your Pmo can successfully meet its objectives by following the roadmap, by executing to those policies and procedures that you have. It allows you to take a step through each of your processes and then measure how well those worked or didn't work, and identify any gaps or weaknesses that you have that you need to address before you really go on beginning to execute these bigger projects on a larger scale. It allows you time to strengthen your approach, if you will. Defining your Pmo KPIs, we mentioned that earlier. You have to understand how you're going to measure yourself in order to actually measure yourself. And I think that's pretty straightforward. But measuring your performance so that you can be confident that everything that you've planned out and all of this hard work you've put in upfront is actually going to give you the results that you're looking for. Defining your roles and developing competencies is another big part. Everyone within your Pmo, you may have junior project managers or senior project managers, you know, maybe your senior project managers act as mentors, or maybe you have a Pmo lead or director or manager. Maybe you have, you know, administrative support. Everyone needs to understand, you know, what their role within the organization is, and that helps them to understand what things they are responsible for. If you don't understand your role, then there's no way that you can ensure that you're delivering to your stakeholders what you need as an individual contributor. And it's really important because each individual contributor, when they come together as a whole, if every individual is performing to the maximum potential, well, then your whole group is performing to its maximum potential, right? So you have to understand your roles, and then developing the competencies required within those roles, ensuring that your people have the skill sets, that they have the training that they need in order to successfully perform as they're expected. That's really important. Evaluating your PMO return on investment. So this is where you're demonstrating to the organization what value your PMO is to the organization. What is that return on investment? What does it look like? This is just a critical KPI for PMOs to measure, and it's not an easy one always to measure. Oh, okay, I'm going to speed through. I'm sorry. Thank you, Nadine. I see that. Okay, evaluating PMO ROI, tracking your PMO performance and continuous improvement. You're going to go through all of these, and this scoring, this is really going to help you to measure your PMO and identify what's going to go forward, right? Your supporting layer, again, I'm just going to hit these very high level, your models, methods, and artifacts. Those are all of the things that are going to enable you to set your processes against and ensure that you have the right things in place to actually perform. Stakeholder management is very similar to what you have seen in the PMBOK with your PMP certifications out there for project management. Same thing with stakeholders for PMOs. They may look different, but you still have to have the same level of management. Your environment that you're working in, that could be your internal environment, your culture within your organization, that has an impact on how your PMO operates. Your PMO technology stack, your team structure, both of those things, all of that also supports how you structure your projects, how you structure your processes and procedures and move forward. And then succession planning, how do you ensure that your PMO can continue on if people leave or retire, or if people are, promoted within the organization? You have to ensure that there's continuity within the organization. So that's extremely important. And then your supporting functions, do you have financial analysts who support or HR, other organizations that actually support what the PMO is doing, and how do they do that? Understanding your PMO structure and types is important because it helps you understand how you interact with the rest of the organization. And then finally, Agile Pmo, having a PMO that can more readily react to the environmental changes that it experiences is really important as well. And then finally, this, again, the leadership layer here, your PMO leadership, the executive sponsorship is a huge part of that. You have to have their support. If you don't have their support, it's going to be really hard for the rest of the organization to support you. And they need to understand, what it is that you're doing for them. And then this emotional intelligence piece is often overlooked, but it's a huge component. This is really just the ability to sense and understand and apply information related to emotions and use that as a source of energy and motivation throughout the life cycle of your PMO, throughout your organization. Understanding, are we managing at the right level, given your PMO competencies, and then operating as a team and really helping one another toward that same goal. That is a really big piece of this. And so that's the last layer in your PMO framework. And I'm sorry, I went through all of those. I could talk all day long about this. But all of those things come out. What we have here for reporting in PMO, any PMO has different reports that go out to a number of different stakeholders, right? Your executive reports, maybe your dashboards or scorecards, your RAG indicators or milestone reports, right? PMO specific reports, maybe like, risk and issue management reports or resource optimization plans, your plans versus actuals, on your financials. Day-to-day operations, you might have action item reports or project meeting minutes that come out, or conflict management or lessons learned type things that come out on a day-to-day basis. And then finally, your PMO resources is another big part of this. Do you have a buddy system? Do you have senior PMs who are able and willing to mentor some of the more junior level or newer resources within your group? Those are all important aspects of your PMO reporting cycle. And then finally, the last thing that I will leave you with is your Pmo adaptation. And and this is one of my favorite slides. This is a very specific concept, Shuhari. Our Shuhari concept is a Japanese martial arts concept you may or may not be familiar with, but it basically is a concept that describes a path to being able to master a certain skill or a certain method or a goal, right? So just breaking it down really quickly, Shu, the first part of this just means you're following the rules. You have a process or a framework in place, and you're just going to follow the rules that someone else has set for you, right? You're going to follow them, and then let's see what happens. And the ha in the middle there, it means you follow the rules, but then as you go along, you may also add some things. There may be some new things you want to try, or new methods, new procedures, and then you want to continue to do that until you feel like you have a good set, right? And then finally at the end, this is my favorite part, re means you come up with your own rules. You're adapting, you're taking everything that you've learned, everything that you've applied, and then you're going to tailor that to make it work for you, to make it work for your PMO, for your organization. That's Shuhari, and that is the adaptation that we all want to be able to get to. And that is something that a highly functioning, optimized PMO will be able to do. So with that, I know I went through the last slides very, very quickly, but thank you so much for giving me a moment to talk to you all. And I'm going to hand it back to Nadine.
Okay, thank you so much, Kimberly, for sharing with us your deep expertise and knowledge. Hope all our participants made some notes because our main session is going almost to the end. We have one more section, career in PMO, and after that we will have the quiz where 5 winners will get a full year Pmo Global Institute memberships. Are you excited? So please make notes and let me introduce the next speaker. It's Corinne O'Brien, is the Vice President of Partnerships for Europe and Latin America at Pmo Global Institute. She's responsible for promoting Pmo learning through collaboration and the partnership program. Corrine is an expert communicator who has benefited from engaging in multiple work experiences across industry verticals, including finance, education, and hospitality. She has a deep understanding of the diversity of project management, gaining cross-cultural expertise from operating in 6 countries across 3 continents over the past 16 years. Corrine understands how hard it can be to drive constructive and lasting change in organizations. By sharing the knowledge of Pmo Global Institute's Cbpmo framework and guidebook, Corrine strives to change the fabric of PMOs across continents by ensuring PMOs are not simply performing, but succeeding, thriving, and speaking the same global language. And now I'm passing the floor to our gorgeous Corinne O'Brien. Let's applaud.
Good morning, buenos días a todos, bienvenidos a nuestro evento Fast Track Your PMO. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about careers within the PMO space. So, becoming a PMO is a natural progression within the project management space. It's a fantastic opportunity to develop your skills as a project manager. So PMOs require risk management, issue management, change management on a large scale across multiple teams. And with Pmo Global Institute, we are here to support your career. So let me just share my screen with you. Let's have a look at a few different roles within the PMO space. So you can see here we have PMO staff, PMO trainers and coaches like our wonderful Kim here today. We have PMO officers, PMO managers, PMO directors, PMO sponsors, and there are many, many more. So let me ask you, who here is working within a PMO at this time? Please type PMO in the chat box. Let's have a look at these PMOs. In Santiago, Chile, we have Natalia is working within a PMO. Anybody else? Or if you have experience working in a PMO in the past. Here we go. Amador, Jorge. Fantastic. Marco. Susana, Marita, Bernardo, excellent. So we do have some experienced PMOs with us today. This is fantastic. Louis, Jacqueline, fantastic. Now, I'm going to ask you to be really brave. I know it's a Saturday morning, but who would like to share their experience with us? Who would like to, you don't have to turn your video on if you have Saturday morning hair, but if somebody would like to describe their experience, please, of working within a PMO, please type me in the chat box. Who's feeling brave this morning? Come on. Come on, Louis, Jacqueline. Anybody like to tell us about their experience within a PMO? Please, somebody volunteer, or I will choose somebody. No, we're all feeling shy. Okay, Edwin. Edwin, talk to us. Edwin, how's your experience working within a PMO? Jorge? Louis, 2 years. 2 years. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, Kim, maybe you would like to tell us about your experience within a PMO. Let us know your success stories, your challenges from your experience, please.
Absolutely. So when I first was introduced to a PMO, the very first PMO that I worked in was actually a very mature PMO, and it was a large organization, and that was an older organization. They had very specific government requirements that dictated to us that we had to have certain processes in place and procedures in place, and they had to meet certain standards. And so that was a really good experience because that enabled me to actually learn how to run a PMO without worrying about establishing one. Where I am today, I was called in to establish a PMO. I have project managers who have never been project managers before. I have a lot of other supporting departments within the organization that don't understand the roles of a PMO. So it's a huge challenge. The biggest part of that challenge really, and I think someone mentioned it in the chat, is helping people understand, what our purpose is and how it aligns to the organization's purpose, what our roles in that are, and why we exist. People don't understand yet. And so we're really very slowly making progress in helping people understand what our value is to the organization and why we exist. So I've been in very mature PMOs or at least one very mature PMO, but right now I'm at level 1. So my experience has kind of been all over the place, but the biggest challenge is helping everyone understand what our purpose is and what we are supposed to be doing and how we help the organization as a whole, and making sure that people have an awareness of that. Those are the biggest challenges that I'm seeing at the moment.
Absolutely, Kim. Thank you. Thank you. We've seen exactly the same, actually, trying to prove the benefits to the sponsors of a PMO. It takes, working within a successful PMO, it takes a huge mind shift for everybody that's involved, and here at Pmo Global Institute, we're here to create a platform and support and create that global language, that global standard where PMOs can succeed from the very start. Absolutely, Kim. Thank you. Thank you very much. So let me show you how you can actually get involved with Pmo Global Institute. Let's take a little bit of a look at what we offer for your career. So as we said, there is a lot of some negative views towards PMOs. They're seen as the project police, as Jorge was describing, but we know that a successful PMO is so much more than that. So what I'd like you to do today is to join us as an associate member here at Pmo Global Institute. Let me actually share the link with you. 1 second. Let me stop sharing. So whilst describing, please, everybody can sign up right now. Let me put this in the chat box. So you can sign up here. It's completely free, and we would love to see you in our membership. So with our membership, you can actually download the Cbpmo framework for free. So it's a great opportunity to become a learner learner within the PMO space. So please, everybody, if you can take a few minutes, click the link in the chat box and sign up to become a member at Pmo Global Institute. At the end of this event, 5 lucky winners are going to win the regular membership. And with this, you can download your very own version of the PMO guidebook. So with the membership, you can become a learner within the PMO space. The next thing that we offer the Cbpmo certification. So when you go through the guidebook, it's a 21-hour course, and this will teach you in depth how to implement and run a successful PMO using the PMO guidebook and framework. Kim is an authorized instructor for the Cbpmo certification, and her training program is coming up very soon. So please contact us and we will put you in touch with our authorized instructor, Kim. So please think about becoming a learner through the membership, then becoming certified as a Cbpmo consultant. The next career step with Pmo Global Institute is to become a business partner. So as our business partner, it does authorize you to become a trainer and instructor for your community, not just within Santiago, but within South America and the globe. So when you become a business partner, we give you all materials, training, support, everything that you'll ever need to start your own training business. So remember, there are 3 ways that we can support you at Pmo Global Institute. Firstly, become a member. Secondly, become a Cbpmo consultant. And thirdly, become an authorized business partner with us. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you've all signed up for the membership. And back to you, Nadine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Corinne. You let dozens of attendees to know about these big opportunities in their careers. And actually, we are about to the end of the main session, and we are getting closer to our Q&As part of the session and to the quiz, where we will define 5 winners. So for now, let's start answer the questions. We had some in our chat box. Some were in Spanish.
We did. So the first question here. Oh. Apologies. So we did have a question here. How is global PMO synchronized with Pbook? Was it supposed to be Pmbok, I think?
Yeah.
Pmbok, I think. Fantastic. So who would like to take this question? Kim?
Corinne, please go ahead.
Please, Abdulla. How is it synchronized with the Pmbok?
No, you see, I thought Corinne is going to answer. Yeah, anyways, thank you. So you see, Pmbok, is the standard, global standard for project management. Okay. And, it talks about the framework, how you're going to manage projects, how the life cycle works, the good practices of project management and everything, right? And the PMO guidebook actually, is more like managing your project management office department. All right. So one is, for managing your projects, and PMO guidebook that we have, it is managing your project management office department. Hope to answer the question. Thank you.
Thanks, Abdulla. Thank you very much. Nadine, I just sent you the questions actually that were throughout the. Yes, please.
Sure. The next one question is, does the execution layer follow that order, or can they change position according to the project? Who wants to pick up this question and give the answer?
Kim is the expert.
Kim.
Sure. So it's similar to you with your projects. All of these things that are part of the framework, they kind of sometimes can move around. I don't know that there's really anything here that would not apply to the PMO. So I think every element that you see in the framework, there is some part of that element that really will apply to your PMO. But as far as whether or not they can move around, you'll see some of that as you establish a PMO and you continue to measure, right? There may be some elements that like defining your processes and procedures, developing your 2PG, maybe it may be a good set, right? So that may kind of be stagnant for a moment while you continue to define your KPIs. You may define KPIs once to all of those processes and then say, maybe I'm not measuring the right thing. So yes, you will have opportunity during that executable layer where there are times where you're going to kind of jump around. It's not necessarily in a specific order. Did that answer the question?
I think pretty much. And the next one question also comes with the first one. What is the most important layer? I think all of them are important.
I think all of them. PMOs simply do not work if these aren't all present. You have to have sponsorship and leadership. You have to have a foundation, and you have to have everything in between to be able to execute. And you have to have all of those things that support. It just doesn't work well. You would go back to the very beginning as to why PMOs fail. If you don't have some level of all of these, your PMO is going to fail.
Okay, thank you so much. The next one question is, to achieve the business objective, its purpose, it's key that each member of the organization understands and connects with such purpose. Why I do what I do, as this will provide the drive and motivation required to follow and strive to achieve such purpose. Then the question is, how do you connect people with their organizations? Who will pick up this question?
Kim, go ahead, please.
Oh no, I was going to let you take it.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one, right? Very good questions, actually. Very good questions. You see, the previous question was very interesting. Which one is more important? My question is, which one is not important? Because all these components actually are talking with each other. You cannot just separate them. They are talking with each other in different layers. Okay, so to answer your question, you see, first of all, you need to find out who is your management and what is the expectation. Yeah, so your management is your client for PMO. You need to go there, talk to them, not just 1 hour, maybe hours and hours, try to understand them. Go for a ride, go for a vacation with your sponsor. Try to understand the pain points they have. Okay, and basically write it down, negotiate, because whenever you're talking with your management, they will be saying, okay, I'm going to set up a PMO, and from next month all of my projects will be green, right? So you need to actually cut down these expectations also to a manageable one. So this is number one. Bring down all the expectation of your management to black and white paper. Sign the the Pmo Charter. And also in the phase 2, we call it actually the phase 1, we call it 2PG. That means policy, procedures, and governance in phase 1, right? So once you have the expectation ready, then you set up your roadmap. You need to check where does your PMO stands, right? Accordingly, you design your 2PG. That means if you're in level 1, probably you don't need all the processes of a matured PMO. So you need the minimum, we call it MVP in PMO. That means what are the minimum processes you need to actually start your PMO in the infant stage, right? So once you have the minimum processes in place, policies, procedures, and the governance, then the phase 2 is capacity building. Right? In capacity building, you need to bring everyone. Your objective is to connect with all the audience and the stakeholders who are connected directly or indirectly with your PMO. Another important task, right? Those who are direct project team members, stakeholder, department heads, other management stakeholders. you need to actually, design a common course, kind of workshop, and you need to make sure that this knowledge, the objective of your PMO, the vision of your PMO, the mission of your PMO is communicated with all of your stakeholders through these workshops, right? So yeah, in phase 2, we normally recommend that you go for you design your workshops based on your 2PG and the roadmap. Then you connect with your audience and the stakeholders, and communicate this message, why you have set up the PMO, what is your expectation, and what support you need from your stakeholders, right? And phase 2 is more like an execution phase, where you basically gradually manage better projects phase by phase. Hope to answer your question. Thank you very much.
Abdulla, thank you so much for your answer. And the last one question is there a recommended size of the company to have a PMO size in terms of project quantity over time or number of people? Maybe you can also continue to answer.
It's a good question, actually, right? I would rather say that it depends on the management expectations, right? Because, but definitely, we have seen the existence of a PMO mostly in mid-size organization. And it need to operate well because the management expectation is kind of matured, and you have certain processes in different departments. You have certain number of good project managers in place, and you have multiple projects going on in the organizations, and the need of setting up a PMO emerged from mid-size, at least mid-size of organizations. Small size organizations also do, but if they have a very matured, kind of at least minimum standard of processes and practices in place. Otherwise, you need to have your management aware about the need and the benefits of the PMO. Otherwise, your PMOs will fall into this 75% category, shut down in within 3 years, because many of the cases they start PMO, but the top management expectation actually not aligned with the delivery and everything, right? So there is no yes or no answer. I'd rather say kind of mid-sized organizations where the policies and practices are being used, and they understand the value of a process and a structure of a PMO. Thank you. Anything, Kim, you want to add?
Thank you. We have Carlos Rodriguez. Maybe he wants to ask his question. No, okay. One more. I think the last one. Thanks to organization and expositors, please discuss in your experience the main area in which PMO can add value and reduce business risk in EPC type projects. Thank you. Kimberley or Abdulla, who takes the question?
Yeah, can you explain what is EPC type projects?
Who asked this question? Christian Vergara. Can you unmute and explain it, please?
EPC type, yeah. What do you mean by this?
Engineering, procurement, and construction.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You see, if you look at why majority of project fails, and we know that most of the cases it fails because you're not able to manage your project dependencies well. You're not able to manage your projects, risk, issues, and assumptions. These are the four main areas. Why, if you do not manage those 4 areas, one I said, risk, issues, dependencies, and assumptions, right? If you do not manage those areas, majority of the project struggles, right? So, and why sponsor and why we need to set up a PMO? These are first questions. And that's why if you look at the foundation layer, we said, understand the business objectives. Okay, so definitely you need a PMO because better, project management, improve your project management performance, better delivery, better resource management, right? And that has to, if you are, most of the cases, if someone asks me, what is the core purpose of a PMO? I always, say in one statement, delivering strategic initiatives, right? So that you deliver your strategic initiatives and minimize the risk, issues, assumptions, challenges, and the dependencies challenges, we need to set up a PMO, right? So across the different industry, not necessarily only engineering, constructions, IT. So risk is there everywhere, issue is there everywhere. Always, we have challenges in different industries. Globally, still about 60% projects fails. Fails means they are not able to address, achieve the objectives of the, their projects. That is huge scope for improvements. And the framework that we have is very agile kind of framework. Okay, it's not like rigid that you have to start with, all the processes and procedures. All depends on the management challenges they're facing. Then you actually, capturing those challenges, setting up the KPIs based on your roadmap, and delivering it phase by phase, right? So many of the cases we have seen the roadmap, many of our PMOs set up is starting from 3 months to 5 years. Yeah, why I say 3 months? Because many of the cases PMOs fails because the top management do not see value addition within short time. Okay, that's why we strongly recommend in our Cbpmo certification programs and all these other programs, we strongly recommend design your PMO roadmap so that within 3 months, your management sees some values. Okay. Within 6 months, deliver some more values, incremental, so that your management gets confidence and they give you more sponsorship, more money and more resources so that you can grow more, right? So to answer your, the summary of the question is, it can be applied to most of the industries. And all the possible risk issues that you have to handle those better through your 2PG policy procedures and frameworks and the roadmap that you have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abdulla, for great answers, so accurate and deep. And it was the last question. Now I stop our recording and we are going to the part of Kahoot games. So I'm stopping.